Welcome back, fellow Gothamites, to our WTF Top 3 Surprising Moments of Gotham. Mm-hmm. Yes, we are here for Pena Dura, Gotham Season 5, Episode 5.
Oh, yeah.
And we certainly have 3 big moments in this episode again. Just so that you know, go to GothamTVPodcast.com for our full in-depth discussion on our podcast of this episode of Gotham Pena Dura.
Yeah.
But I think, first off, it's the rednecks and JoJo. Yes, gone but not forgotten JoJo, the smiling dog. Or should we say, the smiling dog with the 3 anthropomorphizing nincompoops. Yes. We have a great moment here with Ed Nigma, who has been captured. You know, he has a wanted tag on him. He's got a reward for him. And what we have is 3 rednecks devising a fairly elaborate plan now for Ed Nigma, for no other reason than revenge, because JoJo, the smiling little black poodle, was blown up in Haven. Yes, it was a furry firebomb of a dog.
Yeah, poor JoJo, but poor Ed, because these guys, people, they don't care about people. They obviously had a lot of time on their hands because they've converted the car that they can no longer drive around the city because there's no bridges left. They've converted that into their torture device for Ed Nigma. It is hilarious. It's shocking. It's definitely a what the hell moment.
Absolutely, it really is. And we have a great moment where Ed escapes, leaving the car in flames, and the 2 brothers and their mother, Gretel, I believe is her name, trying to put out one of the brothers who was driving the electrical car, so to speak. And we get a great little fire jig as well. So it's all very peculiar, all a bit ridiculous, but all massively entertaining and very, very Gotham.
Wonderfully Gotham.
Which I think, moving swiftly on to our second WTF moment, is... it's the brain surgery, Dr. or should I say Professor Hugo Strange.
Professor.
Yeah, certainly opens up Ed Nigma to the possibilities of where he was from dumpster through to shiny dumpster. Yes, we find out here that Hugo Strange was asked to bring Ed back to life by Oswald Cobblepot, and in the process put a chip in his brain.
Yeah, while he was in there, he had a contract given to him to say, you know, why don't you turn him into a weapon for what we think is a character that's outside of the city of Gotham. He's in the control of Eduardo Durance, who's just arrived in this episode. But effectively, it's this wonderful moment where Professor Strange says, well, while I was working on that stab wound to bring you back to life, I decided to tinker inside your brain. You know, the wonderful logic of Professor Hugo Strange. But he's like, he sticks a chip in there so he can be controlled by anybody. And it seemed like he'd already been asked to do this while he had Ed under the knife. It's either that or he goes, well, while I have you here, I can also put a chip in and I can sell it to the highest bidder to have this weapon, you know?
Like, we have some great moments in the laboratory of Hugo Strange. We have, I was going to call it the human waste chute, but that sounds something very different. To be honest, when I first saw it, it looked like it was a morgue freezer cabin where you would put the dead body, roll them in, and instead... as he did that, the legs went up by 45 degrees, and down this human went on his final roller coaster ride to his gory kind of resting place, really. The waste human shoot there is really, really funny. We have what look to be face fresheners being used by Hugo Strange, but has a combination of very proprietary drugs from Hugo Strange to knock out Ed, to numb Ed, but keep his pain receptors going, so that as he opens up the top of his head like a hard-boiled egg and then staples it back together, we have, Ed being released from his numbness and just screaming in pain. Absolutely great stuff here.
It's basically to make sure that Ed can't disturb him with his screaming while he's working on it. It's one of those
it's so good. Yeah. Staple gun, brain surgery, and face fresheners here.
But we do see this kind of the getaway of Jim Gordon at the end. He goes down that chute as well, and Ed follows him afterwards with his new mission from Eduardo Durance to chase down Jim Gordon as well. So loads of shocking things going on, all at this moment where we finally get the reveal of what happened to Ed, and why he's been finding himself on the top of buildings and in rubbish
definitely.
cans and all that kind of stuff. But maybe next week we'll find out what's at the bottom of that chute.
I think the big moment here as well is that former army buddies Jim and Eduardo. Eduardo's mission is highlighted to be a little different than we first thought. So we hear of Walker in this moment, and to prove Jim's loyalty to Walker, in order for them to save Gotham, Jim has to shoot and put down Enigma, who has kind of been sort of disabled. He's kind of in a catatonic state almost.
With the eyes rolled up into his head.
Exactly. But Jim will not do it, escapes down the human waste chute. And
you have to read that every
time. Or the waste human chute. And followed then quickly by Enigma, because he has been given the orders to find and kill Jim Gordon by Eduardo. So, yeah, really interesting stuff here. And big stuff for this episode.
Yeah, and just to mention, obviously there is that bit about Walker, that she's possibly the one in charge of this whole thing, that she's sent Eduardo in to take out all of the other bad guys in the city. A couple of really interesting theories as to who Walker is. John, you were mentioning on the podcast that you think it might be Amanda Waller. Who
an Amanda Waller type person.
Yeah. Who we saw in Suicide Squad, setting up the Suicide Squad. Another great theory that's out there. Well, my one, firstly, I suppose, is the terrible one, which is possibly Lee Tompkins is involved, because we haven't seen her since the end of last season, so maybe she's involved, maybe she's the one controlling this team.
Could be.
But the one that I did hear that I really like, definitely wanted to share, was, is this one of the Al Ghul girls? Talia Al Ghul, possibly, the daughter of Ra's Al Ghul, because remember, he was killed at the end of last season by Bruce Wayne, and then the bridges were blown out, so maybe she's coming in to take over the city. Quite similar to The Dark Knight Rises, where we had Ra's Al Ghul's daughter, or Talia Al Ghul, in that movie. Little spoiler for 10 years ago.
So great stuff. Loads of theories here of who Walker is. The person who is giving Eduardo his orders, and, of course, who is controlling Enigma.
Yes.
But on to our third WTF for Gotham episode 5. Yes.
Only one option.
Family reunions.
Oh, yeah.
So to be honest, I thought this was the reanimated corpses of Martha and Thomas Wayne. Probably less likely to be that. More likely to be two unexpecting people, drugged, mind-wiped, whatever, put into the employ of Jeremiah, and then given plastic surgery to look like Thomas and Martha Wayne. Or so we think.
That's our theory.
Until they turn around, we don't know for sure.
Exactly.
But yes, we have Jeremiah is alive, tunnels to Wayne Manor, and then two people looking at Jeremiah, and he talks of family reunions. So I suspect Bruce Wayne is going to get a pretty big shock here.
Yeah, and he also has a tunnel now to lead out to the city, possibly for the Batmobile in future, to get him out of his house into those tunnels and into the city. A pretty shocking moment, and I think any other episode, our WTF moment would be the return of Jeremiah after just one episode, or possibly that he's tunneled all the way to Wayne Manor, which is pretty shocking in itself, that he knows where to go and all that kind of stuff. We did hear from Echo in the past that she knows all about Bruce Wayne, and that Jeremiah has learned all about Bruce Wayne in order to twist the knife in. We know that Jeremiah wants them to think that he's dead, to make sure that they don't pin this thing on him. So whenever Bruce gets back to his house and finds his parents alive and well, as we think, maybe next week, he can't pin it on Jeremiah because he thinks Jeremiah is dead. So what is the big master plan that's going on? Very exciting to know.
Loads of things to be thinking about here, from Eduardo and Walker through to Jeremiah's Thomas and Martha Wayne offering to Bruce, as well as then Enigma. He has gone through the redneck electrocution wall of shame. He's managed to survive that, but now will he escape his bonds of this chip at the hands of Eduardo? Really interesting to see, and loads of stuff to get your teeth into for this episode of Gotham.
Absolutely, yeah. Make sure you check out our podcast over on GothamTVPodcast.com, over on any good podcast catcher, Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, Spotify, Stitcher, all have it available there. Go and check it out. We talk about loads and loads more stuff in that episode. It's so much fun, this one. They're on break now for a week, I think. The next episode that's coming out for Gotham is on the 14th of February, which will be episode 6 of this season, and looking forward to getting back into it. Obviously, it's Super Bowl Sunday over in the US. That's why we're wearing our football jerseys. Neither of our teams made it this year, unfortunately.
No. But go Ravens, but of course there are no Ravens there, so go Rams. It begins with an R. Why not? And it's not the Patriots.
Well, exactly. Exactly. Good luck to both teams, but definitely, hopefully, it's the Rams tonight. Good luck, everybody. We'll talk to you next time.
Talk to you soon. Bye.
Bye.